Hello, what's up? It's Tony, and I want to talk today about frequency like I always do. My favorite subject. My favorite subject is frequency because everything is a frequency. Everything is a frequency. The moon, the stars, the ground, the paper, the can, the rock that's on the beach that's just there sitting on the beach, and you're walking past it, and all of a sudden you notice the rock. How did that rock get a hold of you? How did it contact you? It was a frequency. Then you pick up the rock, and all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, I want to share this rock with a friend of mine. So then now that frequency, so this rock that was just sitting there, lifeless, so we think, has a frequency, and we tuned into it, and you tuned into that. So we're going to talk about frequency today. And when I get asked all the time about frequency, I want to use frequency in a way that's different than what most people think. So for example, if everything is indeed a frequency, so emotions, our past, our dreams, our environment, if everything's a frequency, right? We're moving in and out of different frequencies throughout our life, throughout the day, perhaps. We move through ups and downs and, awkwardness and silliness and tiredness. So all these are all frequencies. And so what's important to know about frequency is that we have the ability to tune in to a higher frequency if we so choose, or we have the ability to tune down into a lower frequency if we choose. So let's talk about how that works. So imagine as if you are your perfect frequency when everything in your life is amazing, right? Everything is great. You've got, your environment is super, your health is great, your relationships are great, business is great. Like everything just seems to be flowing. So you're in a state of flow. Well, you're in a really good frequency. So let's say that frequency is 107.3. So that's the frequency, 107.3. Now I'm just making up a radio station, but I want to give you some context here. So you're in 107.3, right? You wake up feeling good, music's going, things are flowing. Get to work. Everything's great. No challenges, no issues. Everything's good. And all of a sudden something happens. And that something happens, maybe it's the boss is upset, or maybe you get the phone call from a friend that something happened to one of your buddies, or whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden that frequency that you were in now all of a sudden got dialed down a little bit. So now there's static. So in that static, when it comes, you have a choice. The choice is, do I tune back up to the frequency? Do I tune down and lock into that frequency, or do I choose something else? And so what I want you to know, we have the ability as humans, because we have the ability to choice, we have the ability to decide where we're going to tune into. Now, whatever is going on, we get to decide how long we want to have that static, that noise, that chaos. We get to decide how long that is. And some people, this is an ongoing thing. The station they were tuned into is the station they were tuned into years ago because of something that's happened in their past, something they can't let go of. Or maybe they're tuned into a frequency and all of a sudden they hear that song, or they hear that noise, or they hear that voice, which that voice in your head is a frequency. When you hear that voice, all of a sudden something happens and that person gets derailed. And all of a sudden is now living in the past, even though they're right here. So when it comes to frequency, there's some things you need to be aware of. Number one, we have the ability to tune in and tune out. So I was leaving an example. I'll give you an example. I live out in Nebraska, and if I'm going from one town to the next, I'm locked into a radio station. The radio station's nice and clear. I get a couple miles outside of town. It's still clear, but then I get, maybe 15, 20 miles outside of town. And now that station starts to become staticky, right? It's not, I'm trying to tune it in. I can't find the station. And then I go a little bit further, and if I keep turning the dial, now I'm tuning into the station that's in front of me. So the music still sounds good, but it's a different station. I decide if I like it or not. If I don't like it, I find another one. And that's how we have to go through our lives. We're constantly tuning in and out of stations. The station of the noise, the station of the chaos, the station of the happiness, the station of whatever's going around in your life at the moment. You have the ability to tune in and tune out. So I want to give you some things that can help you understand what frequency that you're in. So people ask sometimes like, well, how do I know like if I'm in my right frequency? Well, the great way to know is if it feels really good, there's a good chance you're in a good frequency. You're vibing good, like vibration's good, your energy's good, everything's good. So if that's happening, good for you. You are tuned into the frequency at that moment, right? And also you have the ability to go up at that moment as well. Something good happens. Maybe you get called in, you get a raise at your work, and all of a sudden now that frequency now shifts to another level. So the goal for you is to keep elevating that frequency as you move through life, to keep elevating that frequency, right? So you want to be able to understand that we have to check in throughout the day. So my first thing I want you to do, first of all, recognize what frequency that you're at. So if it feels good, great. If it doesn't feel great, we have to modify that. And we'll talk about that in a second. But if it feels great, perfect. That's your frequency. And then as you move through the course of the day, I want you to check in throughout the day. Check in, every hour, every 2 hours, just, check a pulse, like, am I okay? Am I good? Okay. I feel like I'm good. Yeah, everything's great. And just check in. And this is a way that you're always staying connected to you, is by checking in. And then what process do you have? Number 2 is, what process do you have? What process do you have that in the event that something happens, that you've got in place, that you know how to tune back in or dial back into that right frequency? Or, completely maybe shut off everything altogether and maybe just unplug from whatever's going on in your life. Like, what is your process for doing that? What tools, what resources do you have in play to help you through that process when you recognize that you're not on your frequency, right? That you recognize that something is off, right? And it could be the voice in your head. It could be the doubt that comes when you get ready to make a decision. Like, you have to be able to recognize and really figure out what it is for you to help you get through that. And then you want to set aside, number 3 is, you want to set aside time throughout the day for you, just to check in, just to unplug. Like, this is the time, when you're not on social media, that you're not on your phone, like, you put some nice music on. As you can see my office back here, I've got, my office is like a playground in here. I've got all my toys, and I do all like my meditation, all my work. I play music in here. I exercise in here. Like, this is my office. When I come in here, this is my time, right? This is my time just to unplug. And I spend time, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. It just depends on how my day was, to help with that process to get that frequency back in check, right? So that's number 3. Number 4 is, you got to be expanding your environment. You've got to be willing to listen to new music. You got to be willing to try new things, to be creating. I'm kind of in a place right now where I'm creating some products and creating some marketing information. So I'm always expanding. So, sometimes when you're learning, it can be a frustrating frequency. It can be a frequency that you're not comfortable with, and that's okay. But the good thing is that you're expanding. And as you keep moving through that, and you keep seeing something come alive or come to fruition, then all of a sudden you start to raise your frequency. So learning and expanding, whether it be a new hobby, whatever the case may be, I want you to make sure that you're always expanding. And then the 5th thing, and the most important thing, I believe, because if this is not happening, if this is not part of your frequency process, if this is not part of who you are, it is very, very difficult to have breakthroughs. It's very, very difficult to feel good or to have this high vibe or this high consciousness happening. And that is the food that you eat. The foods that we eat, or that you're eating, you have to take a look at them. And if you're tired all the time, if you're, always want to resort to a vice, maybe, it's that drink that you have in the evening that turns into 2 drinks. And then it's every night of the week you're doing that. These are things that cause low vibration, that lower your frequency, that cause everything that you've worked so hard for, maybe, to build up, to come down. Like, some people have high energy day, like a great day, a productive day. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Sales were great, new clients, whatever the case was. And all of a sudden they go, I just want to relax. And then what they do is they take that energy and they completely shift it. And maybe it's by the foods that they eat that's maybe loaded with sugar, heavy carbs, meats and cheeses and dairy products. All these different things can cause us to have a more difficult time to vibrate high. So I encourage everybody to take a look at your food. Obviously, plant-based is a lifestyle that a lot of people are heading to. It's a lifestyle I've been part of for the last 6 years of my life. Love it. Love the energy, love the frequency, love the high vibration. So maybe that might be something in your expansion that you're learning, is how to incorporate foods to help fuel you, still give you the satisfaction that you want, still give you the things that you love, but at the same time, keep that vibration high. So those are some things you can do. Frequency, 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 you guys. Be freaks. go out there and be the freaks that I know that you are, right? And if you have any questions, hit me up. Go to my website, follow me on Instagram, like and subscribe my channel, and I look forward to connecting with you. I look forward to seeing how frequency is interfering with your life. I'd like to know in the comments section down below what you're doing in your life to raise your frequency, or maybe what some of the challenges you're having, keep your energy high or your frequency high. Be very interested to see that. Guys, have a great day. I will talk with you soon. You guys are a bunch of freaks. You know it. All right.